Welcome to P Stories. Okay, my friends, gather close, dim the lights, and prepare yourselves. Tonight, I'm not just going to tell you stories. I'm going to take you on a journey into the heart of the unknown, where ancient beliefs collide with modern skepticism, and the consequences, well, they can be truly bone-chilling. Have you ever found yourself in a place so wild, so untouched, that you could almost feel the presence of something ancient, something other? What about a place where the veil between our world and the next is impossibly thin, a place guarded by secrets and forgotten souls? Tonight, we delve into such realms, told through the experiences of those who dared to tread where they perhaps shouldn't have. These are tales of the deep jungle and the desolate borderlands, where respect for the unseen is not just a custom, but a matter of survival. Let's begin with a story that takes us back over 50 years, deep into the heart of the jungle, a place known to those who lived there as Hauntings, a name that means both a specific kind of venomous snake and, chillingly, a type of wild game. This is a story I heard from a retired soldier, a man whose life was irrevocably changed by what he encountered. Imagine, if you will, a covert military mission deep within the wilderness. It was a perilous task, and the unit was split into two small teams, 4 men in total. We'll call them the Forest Team and the Water Team. The Forest Team consisted of seasoned veterans, men who understood the jungle not just as terrain, but as a living entity, an ancient power. They adhered strictly to its unwritten rules, performing rituals, asking permission before entering, and showing reverence for its spirits. They believed that to disregard these customs was to invite disaster. The Water Team, however, was different. Led by Sergeant K, we'll call him, they were dismissive of such superstitions. To them, spirits were nonsense, ancient rituals were silly and wasteful, and the jungle was merely a place to conquer. Their mission began with a stark clash of beliefs. The Forest Team, as was their custom, attempted to light incense and offer prayers to the jungle spirits, seeking permission to enter. But the incense wouldn't light, a clear sign, they believed, that the spirits did not welcome them. Sergeant K scoffed. "Nonsense," he declared, snatching the incense, pouring the offering wine onto the ground, and lighting it with a sneer. The incense lit, and he triumphantly proclaimed, "See, nothing but superstition. Let's go. We're wasting time." The Forest Team, deeply displeased, exchanged tense glances, but they proceeded, splitting up as planned. The Water Team leading, the Forest Team providing distant cover. As they trekked deeper for what felt like an entire day, the jungle grew denser, the air heavier. Suddenly, the Water Team encountered 2 figures descending a hill, a woman and a child dressed in tribal attire. Believing them to be lost or innocent foragers, Sergeant K, without a second thought, let them pass. But then, the Forest Team, trailing behind, encountered the same mother and child. With their extensive experience in jungle warfare and their intuitive understanding of the environment, something felt profoundly wrong to them. It's strange, they must have thought, for a woman and child to be this deep in the jungle. We've been walking for a day. Without a word, they acted. One soldier circled behind, and in a chilling moment, they executed both the woman and the child. No questions, no warnings, just cold, brutal efficiency. Upon inspecting the bodies, they found hidden markings, confirming their suspicion. These were not innocent villagers, but decoys sent on a mission. Now, this next detail is disturbing, but it was a harsh reality of that era. In those days, soldiers didn't carry pens to tally their kills. Instead, they would sever the victims' fingertips and keep them as grisly trophies. The forest team took 2 fingers from their victims and continued their trek. Later, the 2 teams regrouped. Sergeant K, seeing the 2 fingers, asked, "Hey, whose fingers are those? Did you find some enemy soldiers?" The forest team leader calmly replied, "Enemy soldiers? No, just those 2, the mother and child, the tribal ones pretending to forage." Sergeant K was stunned. "What are you talking about? We just saw them. They passed us just a while ago." A heated argument erupted. The forest team insisted they'd killed them hours ago. The water team swore they'd seen them alive moments before. Though they continued to bicker, they eventually pressed on, dismissing the strange discrepancy as a misunderstanding or perhaps just the usual friction between their opposing views. The rain started falling heavily as they neared the border, their mission objective. They took shelter under a massive banyan tree. The forest team, ever mindful of the jungle's dangers, suggested they climb up into the tree's branches to sleep, believing it safer from both human and supernatural threats. Sergeant K, however, refused. "You 2 can sleep up there. I'll stay down here. It's more comfortable. No need to climb and suffer." So they split up again. The forest team perched silently above, the water team making camp below. As darkness fell, Sergeant K, true to his reckless nature, built a roaring bonfire, ignoring the shouts from the forest team above. "Don't light a fire! It's forbidden in the jungle!" He even went further. Shortly after, the forest team watched in horror as Sergeant K and his subordinate used a crossbow to hunt a wild boar, dragging its carcass back to their fire to butcher and cook. "You can't do that!" the forest team screamed down. "Did you ask permission? You'll bring disaster upon us." Sergeant K merely cursed them, calling them superstitious fools. In his rage, he accidentally cut his arm with his knife. It was a minor wound, just a few centimeters. But a voice echoed down from the tree, a chilling whisper. "You'll see soon enough." Later that night, as Sergeant K lay trying to sleep, he heard it, a distinct slithering sound. Something climbing around the banyan tree, rubbing against the bark. He nudged his subordinate. "Did you hear that? Something's moving." The subordinate, sleepy, dismissed it as the forest team playing tricks. Sergeant K, covering his face with a cloth to block out insects, listened intently. The sounds grew closer, and then he felt it. Strands of hair, or perhaps roots from the banyan tree brushing against his face and neck. Annoyed, he pulled the cloth away. What he saw next sent a shriek tearing from his throat. Hanging upside down, like a gecko clinging to the tree trunk, was a woman. Her hair was long and wild, her tribal dress unmistakable. Her face was ancient, wrinkled, contorted in pure, unadulterated rage. She glared at him, her lips moving to form words he would never forget. "You'll see me again. You'll see me again." Sergeant K fled, screaming, running blindly into the night. His subordinate, startled, alerted the forest team, who quickly jumped down to restrain the panicking sergeant. He was silent, unresponsive, his body covered in scratches from thorns and branches. They rested until morning, and seeing Sergeant K's deteriorating condition, they called for an emergency extraction. The mission was a complete failure. Back at the base, as Sergeant K slowly regained his composure, he recounted the horrifying encounter. He had seen the vengeful spirit of the jungle. And remember that small cut on his arm, the one he got while butchering the boar? It became severely infected, festering and spreading. The doctors, despite their efforts, had no choice. Sergeant K's arm had to be amputated. The old man who told me this story, the veteran with one arm, was Sergeant K. He had been the one who scoffed at the spirits, who violated the jungle's rules. That traumatic night and the loss of his arm completely transformed him. He dedicated his life to spiritual practices, to understanding the very forces he once mocked. And the unit's name? Haudong, the same as the specific unit he was in during that fateful mission.
a chilling reminder that some rules are not to be broken, especially in places where the veil between worlds is thin. Now, let's shift our gaze from the deep jungle to a different kind of haunted landscape, the border graveyard. This is a place where a military outpost stands guard not just against human threats, but against something far older, far more unsettling. An officer named On, working a land dispute case, found himself here, needing to photograph a plot of land that, according to his GPS, was incredibly remote. After 2 days of trying to find an entrance, he sought help from the soldiers at a nearby base. The soldiers there, surprisingly welcoming, knew exactly how to get him to the land. But the path they took was a long, narrow trail, barely a meter wide, running alongside a river and bordered by barbed wire. On soon realized why this place felt so heavy, so eerie. The entire path was a graveyard, stretching as far as the eye could see. It was a vast, sprawling necropolis with burial sites for Thai, Islamic, and various tribal people, all intertwined. "Aren't you scared being here?" On asked the soldiers. "This is nothing but a graveyard." They laughed. "At first, yes, we were terrified," one soldier admitted, "but after a while, we became familiar with them." Curious, On, who loved ghost stories, pressed them for details. The soldiers, eager to share, vied to tell their tales.
The first story came from a young recruit, Private Eck, who had just transferred to the base. His senior officers had warned him before he arrived, "Eck, bring everything you have, amulets, sacred cloths, anything that protects against ghosts. If you don't, you'll go bald tonight." Eck, skeptical, thought it was just a prank on a new soldier. He brought only a few items. But when he arrived at the base and saw the endless fields of pagodas, towering burial monuments surrounding their outpost and even the cremation grounds, he realized with a jolt, "Oh no, I didn't bring enough. I'm definitely getting initiated tonight." His first guard shift was from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Perfect, he thought. Ghosts only come out after midnight. Standing guard at the watchtower, he was surrounded by the silent, eerie presence of the graves. He wasn't afraid of human enemies. His fear was reserved for the supernatural. Where would he run if a ghost appeared? To his left, a large swamp. To his right, barbed wire. His only escape was back to the base. As the hours crept by, he thought, maybe it's all just talk. Maybe ghosts aren't real. But just before 11 p.m., a man suddenly ran out from the direction of the neighboring country. He spoke with a thick accent, gasping, Brother, help me! I fell into the water over there." Private Eck, startled, ran back to the barracks to wake his superior. "Sergeant Moo, someone fell in the water. We need to help him." Sergeant Moo, without turning over, grumbled, "Don't worry about him. Just tell him to go back the way he came. Don't pay him any mind." Eck was shocked. "But Moo, someone's drowning. If you won't help, I will." He grabbed a life buoy and ran back to the watchtower, shouting, "Brother, where did you fall? Show me." The man pointed, Over there. They ran to a stream where a large circular drain pipe was located. As Eck shined his flashlight, the man suddenly jumped into the water near the pipe. "Brother, jump in after me! I'm here!" And then Eck heard a chilling laugh. In that instant, Private Eck knew, "Oh no, I'm doomed. You're not human." He ran back to the barracks, gasping, Moo, I've been tricked." Moo merely said, "See, I told you." "What did he say?" Eck repeated. "He said, I fell in the water over there." Moo sighed. "See? Who would run to tell you they fell in the water? That's the man who died there." It was then that Private Eck truly understood. The man who had called for help was a local who had gone fishing near the drain pipe. He had been drinking, and the water was unusually strong that day. He slipped, was sucked into the pipe, and his body got stuck on a tree branch inside. He had drowned and died right there. Sergeant Moo explained that this ghost would often appear, soaking wet,
calling for help in the exact same way. Mu himself had encountered it before, and had even helped recover the man's body after he died. Anyone new here, Mu told Ek, they always get called by him. But if you listen carefully, you won't be fooled. A stark lesson on the importance of local knowledge and paying attention to the wisdom of those who came before. The second story came from a senior soldier, a man who, unlike Private Ek, felt no fear when assigned to this particular base. His family, you see, was renowned for ancient mystical knowledge and protective magic. He carried a treasured family heirloom, a sacred holy knife passed down through generations, imbued with powerful protective properties. He felt so confident, so hot with its power, that he voluntarily requested to be stationed at this base, believing himself impervious to any spirits. For over a month, he carried the knife everywhere, sleeping soundly, never encountering a single strange phenomenon. Then came the retirement party for one of the commanders. It was held nearby, within walking distance, and almost everyone from the base attended. The senior soldier, knowing he would be drinking heavily, made a critical decision. The holy knife was small, precious, and easily lost. I shouldn't carry it with me tonight. It would be a disaster if I lost it. So for the first time since arriving, he left his holy knife behind at the barracks.
He and a friend drank late into the night. Around 1 a.m., his friend was too drunk to walk. So the senior soldier decided to return to base alone. The path, of course, was the same, the endless graveyard. As he walked past a large tamarind tree near a swamp, he heard it. A frantic scrambling sound, something running back and forth on the branches. Choop, choop, choop. He looked up, peering into the darkness, but saw nothing. Suddenly, with a heavy doop, something hit the ground with immense force. He described it as sounding like a gas tank being dropped from a great height. Curious, he ran towards the sound. There, on the ground, was the body of a woman. She was dressed in Islamic attire, a hijab covering her head. He cautiously approached. "Sister, what are you doing here?" In response, he heard a sound that sent shivers down his spine, a faint, mournful chanting, like the adhan, the Islamic call to prayer, but distorted, unsettling. He felt his hair stand on end, every strand on his body. Slowly, the woman turned her face towards him, but in the darkness, obscured by her veil, he couldn't see her features. Then, without warning, she leapt into a long, narrow grave and vanished. In that moment, instinct took over. "Run! I'm trapped! I have to get out of here!" He sprinted back to the barracks, only to find it deserted. Everyone was still at the party. And now the choop, choop, choop sounds, which he'd heard on the tree, were all around him, on the roof, everywhere. His mind screamed for his only defense, the holy knife. He fumbled for his uniform, where he usually kept it tucked. He grabbed it, his mind racing to recall the protective mantras and spells his grandfather had taught him. But in his panic and intoxication, the words wouldn't come. Then, a flash of memory. His grandfather's voice. "Grandson, if you ever face a desperate situation and you can't remember anything else, draw this knife and strike forward 3 times. With newfound resolve, he burst out of the barracks door, drew the sacred, holy knife, and swung it 3 times into the empty air before him. Immediately, he heard a high-pitched wailing cry, followed by an absolute, profound silence that lasted the entire night. The next morning, as he groggily awoke, he looked outside. A group of people were gathered behind the flagpole, performing funeral rites. He recognized the location, the graveyard, sectioned for different faiths.
And there, being buried that very morning, was the body of a Muslim woman. She had been interned just the day before. The woman who had haunted him the night before was the very same woman being buried now. On, deeply shaken by these tales, asked the soldiers why they didn't request a transfer, given such terrifying experiences. The reasons for requesting a transfer are difficult to explain, they said. But more importantly, this remote border outpost was a vital checkpoint. If soldiers weren't there to guard it, their neighbors would use it as an unregulated natural passage. Their duty, they explained, was far more important than being haunted by ghosts. So you see, whether in the depths of an ancient jungle or on the desolate edge of a border, there are places where the rational world gives way to something far more profound. These stories serve as chilling reminders that some rules are meant to be respected, some beliefs are rooted in truths beyond our understanding, and some duties are so vital that they transcend even the fear of the supernatural. What do you think, my friends? Have you ever had an encounter with the unknown? Have you ever felt the presence of something ancient, something that defies explanation? Share your thoughts or perhaps your own stories with me. Until next time, stay safe and remember to always respect the unseen forces that may lurk just beyond our perception.